this.
What is going on, guys? So, I've already stated in 2 previous videos, I'm going to stop stating it because it's being a dead horse. I'm getting back in the game. And as anybody does when they're going in the game, they go back to their cards. And this isn't actually all my cards, obviously. These were like extra deck cards of Synchro and Xyz and stuff that like didn't go into a specific deck or anything that I just had. Like, you know, like extra 101s from back in the day and like Utopia Rays and what else I got in here? Oh, I got a Blade Armor Ninja. Not a terrible card at the time. And yeah, there's some other things in here we might talk about later. But the card I'm going to talk about right now, and like I said, I haven't played in a while, but even I didn't really see this card played when I stopped playing, so it's been a while. But there was a time, and if anybody here remembered it, where this card right here, GaGaGa Cowboy, was played a lot. Now, I wouldn't necessarily call it a staple, but in a lot of rank 4 Xyz decks, you'd have all your main cards that you wanted to play. Even back when there started to be archetypes where there were archetype monsters to play, because when Xyz first came out, a lot of them were more just like generic rank 4s that you could make in any deck. But as the game progressed, there was archetypes that utilize a boss monster, whether it was like Tiger King or other cards like that had a rank 4 they were trying to go to, just like with Synchros. GaGaGa Cowboy was still a deck that was usually thrown in there, even back when we got good ones like Evil Swarm, whatever his face is, that Knight card or whatever that was going wild for a while. And we had some other stuff, but Cowboy was a card that people would tuck away. And let's read off this effect on why people used it, and I wonder, could you start using it again, especially when the format changes here? So let's read the effect for some reason if you didn't know. 2 level 4 monsters, when per turn you can attach 1 Xyz material from this card, apply this effect depending on if this card's battle position. If this is an attack position, this card can attack your opponent's monster this turn, and it gains 1,000 attack, and your opponent's monster loses 500 attack during the damage step only. So this was really good at the time because a lot of Xyz monsters usually had, and that's still to a degree, usually had 2,500 attack or less. So you could use this to get over, or a 1-for-1 a monster. So if something was giving you a problem and you already had other cards in the field, you could, or even if not even have other cards in the field, you could summon Cowboy, make the attacks equal of that 2,500 attack, and you could have them kill each other off. Or you could also do what the second one, which a lot of people did because it was even being a term called Cowboy for game, is in defense position, inflict 800 life points to your damage. 800 life points to your damage. What the You can inflict 800 points of damage to your opponent's life points. Now, that's why I'm wondering if in this game when we have links and all sorts of stuff to play, there is not a lot of room in the extra deck. And I am still one of those people from even back before that thinks Konami should at least raise the extra deck by at least 5 cards from 15 to 20. I don't think that's going to happen, but if it did, I feel like this is something that you could just throw in, depending on the deck. Obviously, you can't just throw this into a deck that's not going to utilize it. But if you have a deck that uses a lot of level 4s and they special summon off each other, you might find that this card could get you game, depending on how the game plays out. Now, it didn't happen often, but I have Cowboy for game. I remember doing it many times. Not so many times where I felt like it was like, this card should have been worth a lot of money, but it was, especially in the heydays of making a lot of Xyz cards, making a Cowboy, whether it's for his first effect or secondary effect, it was pretty cool. And nothing was more rewarding than having a game that's being drawn out, getting the life points low, and you take out your opponent by just doing a Cowboy. Now, not just be because it might not be that turn you just summon it and you take it away, but it could be that you did some attack damage and at the end of the turn you were able to make a second summon or something, or you summoned him in defense position anyways and you attacked and was able to get life points with another monster. It doesn't matter what the situation is, but whether or not you ended it with detaching a material in defense position and inflicting 800 points of damage was always like one of these. Now, I'm sure there's other cards out there that you could say this about, and I'm just going over this as a nostalgia thing, but when I saw this card, I was looking through my other ones, and there's a few other ones that stood out. I was like, man, I remember playing that all the time. And this one just really stands out because I always liked it. I always liked seeing people do it on YouTube. I always like see people doing it like when they would go over their competitive deck profiles, like, and they would just be like, oh yeah, and I Cowboy for game, and it really pissed them off, and I'd be like, oh my god, see, like, especially if you're in like a competitive scene, and you just happen to win the game for a tournament or top at a tournament simply because of a Cowboy. I find that very funny to me. But this is more nostalgia. Let me know down below what nostalgia card you guys have too. And I'm talking about in the last like 6-7 years or so. Back when Exceeds came out. You can even say Synchro Monsters if you want. But let me know down below with some cards, because I'm going to talk about some other ones on what were good scenarios and if you think they should be useful again. Now, not all these will have nostalgia factors. I'm literally just going to go over cards that I feel like, depending on how a format changes, especially if we get more cards in the extra deck, which that's not going to happen, I'm just saying. In a special world, if you could have more room in your extra deck, would you play this? Just as a one-off. If your deck makes rank 4s often, or can make rank 4s often, would you play this again? I know there's tons of better ones, but sometimes there's cards that are for specific situations. And for an extra deck, while it is tighter, you can manage to have a one-of a special situation card compared to like your actual deck. And when it comes to your main deck, having a card that's just for like a special situation isn't as helpful than it is compared to your extra deck. Especially since there are cards that you can replenish your extra deck through that we do have. If somehow you manage to put that into your deck. But, I don't know. Let me know down below.
Damn.